be here.
Ooh.
Your
So
fault.
what I'm going to do, don't chew too loud that back to there, and then we'll just drag it over. Happy?
Yep.
Right. Okay. I'm gonna walk so I don't have to have eyes on my back of my head. I do have chocolates.
Good.
Good. Who said good?
You can come and sit next to me.
Me.
Sorry?
Hey.
You want to come and sit next to me?
No, I'm not going to sit next to anybody. Otherwise, I'll get accused of bias. All right.
As long as the ratepayers know they're not paying for this chocolate.
No, I paid for them.
Okay.
I didn't
But
add
they
the
pay
bill.
for him.
We pay for him.
Yeah, but
Right.
What's the difference?
Oh, that's
Extraordinary
that's not
price.
working.
We're actually getting something back, Max.
a million.
Well, I'm just thinking the ratepayers that are watching this.
Should have got a pallet full.
Right. Okay.
Which one?
Who's that from?
One will work it out, one wouldn't.
Right. Okay. Right. Doesn't wanna work. Can you hit the enter? No. Ah, technology. Maybe might have to bring it back up again. But why is it on screen and I can't make the?
Unless you want to do the presentation, I'll bring this up on my Word and then I can show it to them.
Okay.
At certain.
Okay. All right. Okay. Let's
So
just kill
this-
that.
Yep.
It's not actually.
Bigger.
Yeah, but it should be on. It's on that screen there. So why isn't it coming across? But enter now. What happens? Oh, nothing. Can you get a slideshow? Your own slideshow, eh? So start from the beginning.
Grego, did your mother-in-law tell you she'd meet me?
I've not seen it yet. She's taking Lily
It's not
to.
it's
Matilda,
it's
she told me
in the
that.
in the teams. Yeah.
He'll be all right, but he's.
Click on it again.
I said to her, I apologised for not organising it earlier because we talked
Ah,
about it.
there
It
we
never
go.
happened. She goes, doesn't matter, tick to her name anyway.
Just.
Yep.
She's got a little stutter, eh? She's trying to get your name out.
Little
Click is not working.
Oh, so
There we go. Okay. Right.
scrubber's been pretty full.
Hey?
You can just pretty full.
I could
So
tell that.
that's what we're here to do, is to summarise what we've done. So we've talked about any questions
That's a good thing.
apart
us?
from, sorry?
Questions, we're done. Is that us? Any questions?
No.
Yeah.
Right. So basically, there are three things we need you to talk about today. One is the general rate, and then we need also, as part of that, would this council then, if you had a general rate, look at some differentials? Not saying what the differentials are, but would you actually want the new council to consider differentials? The other challenge is stormwater rate. Now, we've been working on the stormwater rate. The legislation now has been passed regarding what the water services entity can rate. Or sorry, they can't rate, how they set their fees. And it is very, very prescriptive. And we'll go on to that. So there is going to be some challenges for the new water services entity as it is currently proposed. And we'll talk about that because we'll talk about that a bit more. And the last one is we've done the section 1013 on the new CCTV rate. That's done and dusted. What we want you to do then is to recommend, we've got two options in terms of the area that it should actually be rated over. So that's what we would need to talk about. So the last thing that we talked about previously that Alistair did a whole lot of work on was the reallocation as a result of not meeting the current revenue and financing policy for activities. We don't believe it's worth going into that in any detail because it's going to change again as a result of next year's annual plan, and there will be some costs moving because of the restructure. So we've already talked about that in principle, so that's something that we're not going to recommend to council, the new council, because it's going to change anyway. People comfortable with that? Right, moving on. Right. So, Caroline's going to take we need some words from you why a new council would want to consider a move from land to capital. And just to refresh your memories on what has been said before, so there are the advantages and disadvantages of capital value. And that is the percentage, if we rated everything, and we're not going to, on a pure capital basis as to the shifts. So what we've got here is currently residential makes up 72% of the total pie of land value, compared with approximately 60% now. Currently commercial is about 16%. If we move to a pure capital, it would be about 32%. Rural currently is 13, and it would go down to 2.
3.
3. So it's currently 3, go down to 2. And rural residential currently is 9, would go down to 6. So go to the next slide. So you can see there the movements of which groups would actually benefit. And we talked about that last workshop. If we had pure land versus capital. So these people in the solid black or arrows going down would see a decrease in their rates. The people with the open triangle would see a small decrease, and these people would see an increase. This is our commercial, right? Commercial would go up because the average factor that we actually use is 2.06. So if your number is higher than that, you would see an increase. If your this number is lower than 2.6, you would see a decrease. You look troubled, Kay.
No.
You fine?
Do you want to talk about utilities, why that's so big?
Yeah. Well, remember utilities. Now, why utilities are so big, it's basically their land area is next to nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So think about your lines company. The lines company owns only a very small bit of land, but it owns all the underground power lines, it owns all the overlying assets. They are deemed, in terms of the value of general rules, as a capital asset. So they don't necessarily own all the land, but they're using council land, but they're actually also then, because they've got assets under the ground, that is a capital asset which they own. And where that originated was back in the day, Auckland Council wanted to rate telecom for the phone boxes that they were planted on the street. That's where it started. They didn't own the land the phone box was on, but there was capital value associated with the phone box. And then there was a whole lot of court cases, and there was an agreed process about how the value would be set and how the value would be apportioned across all the local authorities. And that was back in 2006. And that basically principle hasn't been challenged by any of the utility companies since. That's not saying that. Now, part of, and this is going to be interesting, I need to check, some of that 13 % is your water assets, the current pipes under the ground, the wastewater, the wastewater, stormwater, and water supply, water assets. Now, you may remember when the regional council moved from land to capital, what was your extra bill, Caroline, that you had to pay? That was yours?
It was 200, 2 or
Yeah.
300,000.
Was it?
Another 2 or
I think it was
300,000.
in the hundreds.
It was in the hundreds of thousands
Yeah,
to them.
yeah.
Does that include waterways?
Not the waterways per se, but any waterway structure.
Right.
Because the waterway, the actual channel's not an asset, but if you've got pump stations or other assets, they are capital assets.
So across the country where councils are on capital value, that's the standard practice.
Yes and no.
Okay.
Yes, it's a standard practice to rate them. Some councils are generous and have a differential to say we'll only charge you 0.5, but you've got to be really careful that you've actually got to do it across all utilities, including the lines and the telecos. What some councils have done is they've given a remission to their own water assets, which I think's. Now, I need to check, and I haven't done it yet because the legislation only came out last month, beginning of last month, is whether a territorial authority can charge a new water services entity for their capital value. Because I did read in one of the earlier discussions before it went into the bill that the principle would be that the local authorities couldn't charge a water services entity for their assets. And I don't know whether that survived or not. I need to check, and I need to do that for another project I've got to do later in the month. But that's, so we're not talking about today what options are available for the new council in terms of a differential for utilities or how that would actually play out. That's, but we're talking about the principles today.
But it's interesting to know how it works other places.
Yeah, so some councils, like your regional council, say, no, we're going to just rate everybody because we believe that that's appropriate. Most councils do that because what they're doing is they're seeing the rate income in the top line and then they're seeing the expense as an expense. So they're saying, well, it's a charge for that activity.
Do you think the fact that we're an urban authority is slightly different from ones like Hastings that have got large amounts of land with not many buildings on them when you change the rating system?
I would actually say that your principle, I'm going to be careful here, my personal view is that the collective benefits of capital outweigh the disadvantages of the impacts on utilities. And there are other mechanisms that are available to a city council to mitigate those. Oh, you were serious about doing a serious coffee order?
I've been looking at the presentations while I was waiting.
Is it actually out online or not? Or you?
Noticed in the
It's on our hub.
On the hub, so you can see it on the hub. All right. So that's just so utilities are something that the new council would want to consider in detail. And what they're known as legally, they have to do it because they're a standout ratepayer. So you may want to consider that when we talk about the rationale. So I'll move on. Right. So, what are your reasons you would want to consider? So maybe we might go backspace. Yep. Here we go. I don't want to put words in your mouth. But maybe you want to consider those advantages. Do I have a starter for 10? There might be some chocolates involved for those who come up with the starter for 10.
Just capital is seemingly more equitable.
Sorry?
Capital is seemingly more equitable.
Why?
Well, my analogy of which I think Haley pumped out a lot quicker was Mavis in the family home living next door to a mansion with the same land area, but
Yep.
paying the same rates under
Land
the
value.
land value
Yep.
and capital value.
Yep.
She wouldn't be. Old Joe Bloggs with his mansion would be paying more.
Correct. So what you're saying there, totally agree, but you don't eat chocolate though, do you?
I probably needed a little bit of energy today, actually. It's
Do
quite-
you?
Probably
Yeah.
force himself.
Yeah, I could twist my arm.
What do you want?
Well, I thought I'd be making up for all the times I didn't get enough.
Oh,
just one, thanks, mate. Thank you. Just
Hang on, I'll get out my violin.
yeah, no, you're
Yes.
right. Thank you, sir. Well, that's nice.
I like the serve business. So what
Second one.
you've paraphrased there
Yep.
is it actually takes into the full value of the property. So that example of the mansion next door compared with the little, gotta be careful, the little person, right, with their little single property has a number of things going for it. Their value of their property is their total value is worth more than. So bearing in mind that rates are a tax and that you're actually recovering the full taxable value, which is what it's talking about there. The other issue that you've talked about is that the high capital value property are more likely to use more services.
Yep.
So that's another reason.
Where do buildings like, and I
Sorry?
might know this, where do, you know how we had at our LTP, all the Bayview properties up on the hill that had huge land increases and came in, their rates have gone up heaps.
Yep.
Where would people like that sit now under this?
So what you're talking about there
East Hills.
Yeah,
is
S-Kills, yeah.
S-Kills.
Mm,
So the issue when you've got land value,
mm,
if your land value, because the land value represents generally about 30 or 40% of the total capital value.
mm.
If you go back to a slide, you could actually do the calculation. No, go the other way, sorry, go. Right, so there we are. Oh, okay. So your total land value is basically 12 billion. Billion, so we've got the right number of
Yep,
zeros.
yep.
Mm.
Right? But your total capital value, more than that, right, is 66 billion. So therefore, your value here, if
No, that's,
you're actually that, when your land, the land is often the one that actually changes in value a lot, right? Is more, and that's why the valuer general concentrates on the land value. And that's why you're also seeing the current government trying to open more land that's available to actually bring down, so we're not seeing those massive increases in property going forward.
Yeah, but
But also, one of the other issues you have now with intensification, which is that little, you might have 1,000 square metre property that might actually have 5 or 6 dwellings on it.
and to answer Ron's question, because it's the same for the lifestyle blocks in
Yeah,
Tauranga.
yeah. I
Because
just
it's
used that as an example because
land-
they,
The land, at the moment, the valuer general sees land regardless. Our district plan and our subdivisional code of compliance prevents some people from subdividing their land. So they're stuck with a large lump of land that the valuer general says is valuable, and it ignores the fact that you can't subdivide it. And so they're hit with that.
Right?
yeah, so just some more correction. So the total land value is 12 of all properties is 12.1,
Sorry,
and
yep.
the total capital value is 25.
So thank you. Sorry, wrong slide.
Yep.
Right? So roughly half the value is land, right? So if you're, when you see that, those property revaluations, you've got a bigger number to spread that increase over. So you're not going to see dramatic swings in the future because of land. You've got a bigger pool. Sorry. Thank you. Virtual chocolate for you because I only got a few left.
That's all right.
All right, does that make sense?
I've got another reason.
Yeah, another reason?
A broader spread of rates. More households and businesses pay proportionally, reducing the burden on land-rich but house plot owners, e.g. those on large homes.
Just ChatGPT get the
That's
chocolate.
right, I got the
mix.
rest of the chat GPT if you want.
Oh, you got ChatGPT.
We just ask them and they'll tell you.
Yeah.
Oh, oh,
Oh, was
is that,
Yeah,
You're gonna be out of a job, Mark.
Put the disadvantages in.
oh,
The advantage
I
is
just
moving
looking for
capital value.
yeah,
Fairer link to wealth / ability to pay.
yeah, which is our number one.
Yeah.
Yep,
Broader spread of rates.
yes,
3, encourages land use efficiency
yeah,
and alignment with property market values. Most people think in terms of house prices.
correct.
Kettle.
You're
There
right.
you go.
Yep,
You're right until it's right.
you're right. There you go. What do you want? Like, you want to be? That's a smarty. That's a smarty answer.
Smarty.
Oh, well,
Smarty.
Okay. All right. So what you're saying is those collective is actually a really good reason. So what's the disadvantages? Just in case we've got anything get cancelled out according to chat.
You know, I think it's one you've mentioned that the impact on low income households with high value houses. So it says
Correct.
elderly or long term residents who own valuable homes
Yep.
may struggle with the higher rates.
Yeah. Now, all right.
It's a blunt instrument.
Has Carolyn got a deal for you?
Ah,
The rates postponement that's
Oh.
coming. Will that affect those people?
Rates postponement?
This is this LGFA.
Oh, yes, I think we mentioned it quickly to you, would have been one or two workshops ago. Gary mentioned that LGFA are bringing through a scheme where people can apply for rates postponement. So the LGFA basically is kind of their banker and takes on the
Reverse
debt and the risk, so it takes it away from council. We still get the rates, but the ratepayer owes LGFA the money for the rates. They want to postpone them.
And then what happens?
postponed.
Like a
for what?
reverse mortgage. kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Reverse mortgage.
Yeah.
So when they sell the property, they get
No,
paid
that
back.
doesn't sound as good.
Reverse mortgage.
Because that won't back it.
Okay. So Caroline, have you captured
Leverage.
Yes.
all those?
Yes.
Whereas
Okay. Right. Any more?
Yep.
Oh.
The rest.
Oh, you want another
It's
smartie?
still in the
Sorry, we've
thunder.
run out
No,
of
no,
smarties.
I'll do this for nothing.
All right. Keith, we've got a couple of sugar-free for you as well.
Discourages property
Oh.
improvement. Adding a new room garage or commercial fit out increases rates because it
Ah.
raises the CV. And it could be like a penalty for
Could be a penalty. So, all right.
That's what it says.
Could, yeah. However, all right, there is actually a bit of work done on this.
Okay.
There's actually no evidence in New Zealand of it actually happening. The evidence is based on other countries. America, because they actually had quite a rigid way. Right? And where that research was done was, interesting, to say the least.
Okay, so it doesn't actually raise the CV then, if you.
It does raise the CV,
Yeah.
but people are doing it for other reasons other than the actual rates. The proportion of rates that increase because of that isn't actually dramatic.
Right, number 3, shift of burden from undeveloped land to built-up land.
Yep. But isn't that what you want?
Investors holding vacant or minimally developed land may end up paying relatively less compared with LV.
Ah, that's actually a valid reason.
Land
where they would
banking.
otherwise face
What was
higher
that one?
rates.
The
Risk of land banking.
land banking, the risk of land banking does increase, absolutely.
Not the next one, the last one.
Yeah.
Transitional inequities, some ratepayers may face steep increases when moving from LV to CV,
Yep.
especially owners of modest land with expensive houses.
Yep.
And it creates political pushback during implementation. Haven't
Correct.
seen that.
There you
The
go.
Regional council got that.
They did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And what happened? What did regional council do?
nothing.
Carried on.
We'll tell you in 10 days.
Sorry?
Tell you. I'll tell you in 10 days.
Were you?
Election,
Didn't they have 93% against it?
yeah, something like that, eh?
Put it through.
Yeah. I mean, the interesting thing there is there are ways of mitigating that if you want to. So you could actually step it, right?
Yeah, phase it.
Interestingly, I don't agree, I'll be careful what I say. Western Bay had that. They decided to move to, this was a number of years ago. They moved basically they have a general rate and a roading rate, and a lot of councils actually have the two together. They actually said that we will have the general rate on capital and the roading rate remaining on land. So there are ways of actually mitigating that if it becomes an issue. So you can actually split your rates. You actually you have I'm getting from, I know not the evil eye, it does create another rate. So you could actually take some activities and say we're going to call that local services rate and do that, remain that on land value as a transition. If it becomes an issue. And talking to the team before the meeting is we will be able to provide more information on the number of properties that will see a significant jump than we've previously. They're actually using a new product called IBIS. So the idea is that, so if someone is, we will be able to say, look, we've got 14 properties that are seeing a 25% increase in their general rate because of the capital. We will know, be able to drill down and see where those properties are as well.
Can we put that in our information to the incoming council?
What, that you go to see that?
Not that, but that we suggest to them that they receive that information and consider it at a workshop. Was it already there?
It's really
Sorry, I haven't seen it.
No one has seen the
Oh,
workshop
okay.
yet, right?
Okay.
Because it's still under
Yeah.
development.
Okay, sure.
But absolutely, what I'm sharing with you today is that it's something that certainly the team behind you is going to consider and have that information available.
Great, because I feel like that's something that last time we did this, we didn't have that information come to us.
Why?
No, I don't know why. So you're
Because
going
we
to tell me, aren't you?
Yes, absolutely, because we actually didn't have the system that they're actually using.
Great.
Okay?
You should give them a chocolate.
Sorry?
Sally should give you a chocolate for that one.
Yes, please. Sorry. Sorry, no joke.
Next
Right.
time, Phil.
Next time? Okay. Right.
Optimism for you.
Have we got any more reasons that this council believes that the new council should consider? You're not telling the new council to do it, you're asking the new council to consider for the following reasons.
Just tell me what proportion of other territorial authorities use
Well,
this
yeah,
system.
that's the point I was going
Is
to
it,
make.
are we
It's
the only ones?
becoming
Are we out
more
on
and
a lump?
No, it's a lot.
You are an increasing limb.
Okay.
Yeah.
The limb is getting shorter. Once upon a time, would it be about 10, 12 years ago, it was 50-50. Now I think, I can't remember what it's about
65%.
65%. Yeah, that was
Are on CV.
on CV.
Okay.
Have any gone the other way?
No.
No, I asked that too.
Right?
No, but there's a few splits like you were talking about
Correct.
between the land value, capital value and the different types of rates.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's called a hybrid system.
Yeah.
Mm.
So you still could have, the new council could look at, because we actually haven't looked in detail of where those impacts are going to be.
So we're still taking exactly the same amount of money, only just dividing it up.
Yeah.
Correct,
Yeah.
absolutely. And that's a fallacy
That's gonna.
that we need as
Collect
part of the
more.
comms
Yeah.
to say this isn't a revenue
Yes,
grab,
No.
because that's the immediate accusation
Yeah.
that's made of councils. You're actually just doing this so you can get more money. Right, we done with that? Right,
I look at it as if you're subsidising.
okay,
Speed it up a
Some will
bit.
look as if you're.
next question.
Quite handy.
Should you would you want the new council to consider what is known as a differential capital rate? So you charge different parts of the community a different rate in the dollar. So remind me, Caroline, at the moment, or team, you've got a 2.8 on land for commercial.
Is that correct, Beth?
Beth?
2.6 on commercial.
Yeah.
2.6, thank you. I'm not saying, so we're not telling the new council that it should be a certain number, but would you recommend to the new council that certain types of properties should pay more or less of the capital value, or do you think it should be a pure system?
So because commercial do that already, and in that chart you showed us, commercial's going to go up.
Yep.
If you took away the 2.6,
No,
No.
would they end up the same?
no.
No.
Really good question.
Oh, yes.
Really good question.
See how excited I am about chocolate?
Gee, my bag's going to be really light because that's it.
No. It's not, it's a crunchy.
So this is purely based on pure land versus capital.
Mm.
So if we didn't have a differential,
Mm.
potentially the rates would actually go down because of that 2.6 differential.
Mm.
However, right, this is an interesting fact. The majority, not the majority, lots of city councils have a commercial differential on capital value.
But would it be lower than what
It
it
would
is
be
now?
less than
Lower than what it
2.6.
currently
Yeah,
is now.
That,
Yes.
That's kind of what I
Yeah.
meant.
Yep.
Yeah, because that would be, if they're going to go up a certain percent and then you've got 2.6 on top, that's
Yeah. It may not be. So, and the rationale for that is why would you want the new council to consider a differential on commercial or industrial?
Well, the reasons for having it under a land value don't change, so it still applies under capital value, but it's a smaller.
It's a smaller number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
So what I'm hearing then from you is that yes, you think that they should actually pay a differential, and the number needs to be recalculated.
Yep.
What it says here, businesses may argue they already contribute through employment, economic growth, and that higher differentials discourage investment. And secondly, residents may argue they're subsidising business if the differential's too low.
Well,
So it's a fine line.
It's
somewhere, isn't it?
absolute. It's a
It's a
very.
balance,
It's a
yeah.
balance, and it's a very fine line. Now, interestingly, you've already had your chocolate for the day, so sorry, I don't have enough for two.
I think ChatGPT got the chocolate, not Max.
it's good for Sunday.
The
We can have the
issue
red
is
one.
Hutt City Council has a commercial differential of about 2.5 from memory on capital.
Seems high.
Right? And I can see saying, because that's a bit high. Wellington's got used to have 4.
Used to.
Okay? Their rationale is that we don't want our residential people paying high rates, and we believe we should pay high rates. That's basically it in a nutshell. These are the words, right? And that has been accepted by the community. Interestingly, they also don't have uniform annual general charge, fixed charge. So the high properties pay a vast amounts of money.
Mm.
And they've got one very large rate payer. Queensgate Mall.
Yeah, I was going to say them all.
The mall is,
Mm.
and they get, yes.
We're a bit
So-
different from that.
Pardon?
We're a bit different here in that from than a bit.
Yeah, and I'm not advocating a 2.6 differential, right? Interestingly, Tauranga, can you go to the next slide for me? Right? Industrial they've got a higher differential again than commercial.
Well, notice for our ones, industrial went down in their rates.
Because generally they've got lower total capital value. And generally industrial have lots of land, a big building, and often big yards. Now, interestingly, in terms of roading network, what does the biggest damage to your roads?
Trucks.
When you put in when a truck goes down your road, you need to have a wider road to allow that truck to go down than a normal residential property. So there's been quite a lot of work, and I did some of that work for Tauranga. The costs for servicing industrial properties from a roading perspective is significantly higher than even servicing it for commercial properties. So there is a rationale for actually having a higher differential for industrial. But the challenge you have is not all industrial properties are created equally and create all the same amount of impact.
Yeah, and to be fair, most of the big trucks industrial don't have businesses in the Napier City boundary. They are in boundaries further afield.
We've got heaps of truck services in Wanaka.
Yeah, but big trucks, like your logging trucks and stuff.
Oh, they're not allowed on the road.
Man, go for a walk through.
Logging 7th Street.
Go down
7th Street.
Yeah.
They've got a way station down there.
You can't even get a
Hey?
Yeah, no, it's huge.
Oh, I know that, but some of the I'm talking about the big trucks are coming. I know there's halls, I know there's all the transport companies coming. I worked in that area.
But so again, right, that's something that you could or may not, right? So generally most councils, they apply commercial and industrial. But there
Separately.
Pardon?
Separately, you mean, or
No,
combined?
together. Most
yeah.
councils, because it's too difficult. However, I know Tauranga, and I think there's another one that does it industrial separately. Would you want to consider? So the question I have is: here are your broad categories. You've got rural, residential, commercial, industrial, other, and utilities. But within rural, you've also got pastoral, horticulture, and those evil urban displaced lifestyle blocks, like me, right? And interestingly, New Plymouth have a differential for lifestyle blocks.
You sting Nigel again.
Sorry?
Sting Nigel again.
No, actually, this is the opposite of that. It actually goes down.
Oh,
We've got a
yes.
slight problem. Sorry, I didn't say that. No?
Conflict.
But the problem, and if you try and how do you identify lifestyle blocks? That's the problem, because a lifestyle block can be anything from 2,000 square metres to 10 hectares. And you've also got rural or horticultural properties going from basically the same size as well and even larger. So how do you differentiate it?
We currently do though.
Pardon?
We currently have a scale, don't we? Isn't the rural ones over a certain number of hectares?
5 hectares or
Don't know,
something.
we do it
5,
for,
yeah.
Sorry?
Rural are over 5, lifestyle blocks are below 5.
Correct. Yep. Would you want to continue with that?
It's reasonable.
Sorry?
It's reasonable.
Is it? Why?
We don't have that many rural.
I know. So that's what I'm saying is, why do you want to have it? What's your rationale? I'm not arguing to say you shouldn't. I just
The
want to know the rationale.
classification.
Sorry?
You're wanting the classification or the differential?
The differential. Why would you want to have a differential on lifestyle blocks versus rural?
Would it be because anything over 5 hectares is more
Commercial.
Commercial, yeah.
feasible to be running stock?
But if you treat rates as a consumption tax, then lifestyle block owners consume less of council services, i.e. they don't walk their dog in town because they run it on their own property. They usually aren't part of the council's utilities networks.
Well, they don't pay for that anyway.
Correct. Yep.
Well, they don't pay for that anyway.
Yep.
Yep.
And they don't spend a lot of time in the town and the libraries, the museums, or the.
You're making some really big assumptions there, Nigel. That might apply to you. That doesn't mean it applies to other people.
I would argue the exact opposite. When I go to the shop, it's 100 metres from my house. When someone out there goes to the shop, they wear out a hell of a lot of roads and use a hell of a lot of street lights more than I do.
I disagree slightly with the speaker for that, right? We talked about services, but actually rates aren't actually the services to specific properties or groups of properties. They're actually the general rate, is what we're talking about, is basically a taxation to recover the costs of everyone, right? And that you as a lifestyle block or rural property have the same ability to use the library as anyone else. You don't choose to use it, right? And I'll stick my hand up, right? I don't use the Western Bay libraries, right? But they're available for me to choose to use it. And interestingly, the reserves, right? A lot of, and it's not, I don't know about, I haven't seen the word here, but in certainly Western Bay, a lot of the rural people do use the reserves significantly. They are big sports people and have used the sports ground significantly more than the average residential person. Now, I don't know the name of the specifics, right? But so to me, you've got to come up with your rationale. And absolutely, look, if council agrees with you that the services on a whole, right, you use them less, but the problem is how do you differentiate? And I would say that the rural properties that are close to the boundary will use them more than the ones that are far away. Now, you're lucky is your boundary is relatively a short distance from the CBD to your boundary compared with the likes of your neighbour Hastings, where their CBD, you're thinking someone way up towards the boundary of Wairau District Council.
They'll use our facility.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
I know they use your facility. I know they do. They're going to drive through Napier to get to there.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah. So,
Yep.
where are we?
Oh, indeed. What's the question?
What the question is?
Do you want them to come up with differentials?
Yeah, I don't want them to come up with the numbers, but I want to come up with the why you'd want the new council to have a differential and the categories. I don't want you to come up with the numbers because I don't believe anyone in the room, including myself, have actually got the right information to do the calculations.
The other one is the fact that council don't allow me to subdivide my property.
Yeah. Now, the question I have is because council doesn't, and I don't know the answer, because council doesn't allow you to subdivide the property, is your land value discounted as a result of that?
No. My neighbour took the valuer general to task on that,
Yep.
and they ignored that as a reason for having a lower land value.
Are you allowed
I would actually, right, a lower value than what was already attributed.
No, what had happened is there were 200-acre blocks.
Yep.
One was permitted to subdivide because they were able to get through the subdivisional code of compliance around access.
Yes.
The neighbouring 100-acre block got valued exactly the same, but the code of compliance prohibited them from subdividing. So the 200-acre blocks, sitting right next to each other, had the same land value. One has a restriction on it that it can't subdivide.
I would actually want to talk to the valuer about that.
They did.
No, in this room, because you are entitled to, right, meet with the valuer, right? Use QV, right, and get them to explain the valuation methodology for that before we make that conclusion. I'm not disagreeing with you, but I think before anyone can actually make that differential, right, and we need to hear from your valuer, but I would also, the challenge is, can you identify those properties through the rating matters and factors that are actually in Schedule 2 of the Rating Act? And I have to look at that carefully. I don't know the answer off the top of my head. I'm not disagreeing with you. I say we need more information.
Along the same lines as Nigel, are there things that can happen on lifestyle blocks that I'm not allowed to do in town? Because that would be the same thing but different. Like, can I run cows in the middle of town in my backyard? Probably not.
Roosters.
Sorry? You can't have roosters, can you?
Yeah.
Oh,
You can
I
have
feel-
sheep. My neighbour's got sheep.
You can have sheep.
Yep.
Goats.
But there are certain things that I'm restricted to do in town that I would be allowed to do on a lifestyle
Well, name them.
property.
So what, okay, where,
Can't have chickens.
Well, it could just be the fencing rules.
yeah, but hold on. So what's the link to rates and value that's actually saying? It's,
Well, I'm just saying that if Nigel's saying he's not allowed to do something under the district plan, I'm saying, well, people in town perhaps aren't allowed to as well, just different things.
yeah, but
And you
what
buy to
Nigel
what
is
suits
saying
you.
is, and I hear exactly what Nigel said. I'm not disagreeing with Nigel. No? Nigel is saying is the ability to subdivide, then that neighbour can actually make a lot more money off his property than the guy who can't. Right? And therefore that should be reflected in the land value. And currently it's not.
Good time to get out there, Nigel.
Just a comment, when we set like the 5 hectares, if you put 5 hectares of glass houses in, you would make a lot of money. If you put 5.5 hectares in, would you go into a different category?
Yes.
What neighbours' land.
Thank you, Keith.
By
I
our
was waiting for
current
that.
standards, yes.
Is that sugar free? Otherwise, I'm not waiting. Thank you very much.
Sorry?
Have you voted yet?
The problem is I can't vote.
Oh, jeez.
You follow the postie around, you can.
Ooh, then I would get done for electoral fraud. That would be the end of my life.
So anyway, and further to that, I was thinking, well, you'd be better off to buy 10 5-acre blocks and have one as your factory and just plant on the others.
Yep, and that is exactly the problem you have when you're doing sites, right? Now, you probably don't have chook farms or egg farms, lots of them around Napier, but New Plymouth has lots of them, right? All the chook farms in New Plymouth District Council are considered lifestyle blocks in Gareth. They only pay 60% of the land value. Okay? Because of
The size.
the size issue, because I've done it solely on size, right?
Philip, can I just look at the question?
Yeah, yeah.
In my mind, what we're being asked, and maybe I'm oversimplifying it, but are our current categories, are we comfortable with our current categories? And do the rationale for our differential still stand? If they don't, then reconsider. If they do, then
Yep.
is that fair? Because it feels like we're just sort of talking about lots of other.
Well, I wanted to have that
Examples.
discussion to make
Yeah.
sure there were no, but I don't want to get to the end and say we haven't thought about this, but that's what I'm looking
Yeah,
for.
that's the big picture,
So the
right?
question I have, what's the difference between lifestyle blocks and rural?
But we're not being asked to pick a differential. We're just being asked to
Correct.
confirm
we
whether
want-
the categories.
Yeah, but I'm saying is the question I have back to you is would you want to have one rural differential or no differential? Rural.
One, yeah,
You'd want one,
I would,
Yeah.
yeah. Because the rationale still stands.
right? So at this stage, you would want to see a rural differential. Some nods or show of hands, yes.
Yeah.
You would want to see a commercial differential.
Yes.
Yep.
Would you want to see any other differentials?
What are the other ones we got?
Lifestyle.
Just
We're
the other-
I know.
rural residential we have.
Rural,
No.
we've got rural residential.
Didn't we get rid of
Yes.
No.
No,
No.
kept
We
it.
talked about getting rid of it, didn't we?
So
because
how many
remember it was
differentials do
that
we have
was
at the moment? How many categories, how many differentials? 4.
That's right, isn't it? 4? You've got
Yes.
residential, which is 1, you've got commercial,
Commercial,
you've got
residential,
rural,
rural.
and rural residential,
Okay.
which is your lifestyle blocks.
Yeah.
Would you want us to continue with that rural residential? Or are they residential or are they rural?
What was our rationale in the first place?
Rural
I think you'll find it
residential
would
is the lifestyle blocks,
cause-
isn't,
It was designed to cover the lifestyle.
It was.
Yeah.
and that was all the people that came to that, you know, when we put them at 100%, then we dropped it back.
It's the properties that don't have all services.
Yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
yes.
So
Waste
it
and
may not
stuff,
have
eh?
water or may not have sewage.
Mm.
So at this stage,
And also
you would
Jim
like
was
to
telling me
consider,
can't subdivide.
you would like the council to consider those, and it may decide based on the modelling. There's not a lot in it. All right.
Yep.
So you want to stick with the current
Current.
differentials
Rather than uniform, yeah.
rather than uniform.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep.
Yep.
And the rationale is because it works.
Yeah, still stands.
Still, the rationale
It
still
seems
stands.
fair, it seems fair.
Yeah.
Okay, but when we move to capital, when we actually do the detailed modelling, it might change.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right,
yeah.
Until we see that, we don't know.
When we moved.
all right, that was simple. Right. Okay, here's the challenge, right? And this is only literally hot off the press. So basically, the new, here we go, Local Government Water Services Act 2005 states that you can only recover a fee and a charge, it's no longer a rate, off those properties that are provided with a stormwater service, and the word is service, not benefit. All right, and what they define, and this is straight out of the Act, it means a service is you are collecting, treating, drainage, reuse or discharge of stormwater in any urban area. So when you actually, I can put the further differential, it's basically what they mean is you've either got a stormwater pipe, drain, overland flow path. Right? That's all. So if you're not within one of those serviced areas, you can't charge a stormwater fee for those properties. Okay, very, very restrictive. So the fact that you might actually say is that currently you believe stormwater provides a greater degree of benefit to everybody on a different percentage. You can't charge it to everybody. And the example I was talking to someone yesterday was if you have a road and your stormwater discharges onto the road,
You can't.
and then runs down the hill into a stormwater drain, you can't charge them.
Doesn't count.
Oh, really?
No, because
A lot of that.
it does not include those services relating to the transport corridor. So it's got to be almost a direct connection
Wow.
or service provider. Really, really restrictively. Okay?
Be a lot of the places on the hill, wouldn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
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 Okay,
So go back to them, tell them they've got to retain their own stormwater.
here we go. All right.
Permeable land.
That's a real.
So there is, okay, chapter and verse straight out of the Act. Now, therefore, because council has decided at a principal level, Caroline, it's only, you actually haven't signed on the dotted line yet, have you?
What for?
The water services, that stormwater is actually being transferred, it's in decision.
I'll just check what Andrew sent me.
I thought we did.
Okay,
What happened?
I
I
don't
think,
know.
according to
I thought
Andrew's
stormwater was
email,
the thing,
Yep.
was the sticking point.
I'm not sure.
we have agreed to transfer all.
Okay, so,
assets.
so at this stage, we have agreed to transfer all stormwater assets to the new water services.
Yeah, I
All,
haven't.
all water
Yeah.
assets,
All water assets,
including stormwater.
including stormwater.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right?
Remember that.
So, if you're now going to increase the stormwater rating area, you can only do it for a maximum of 2 years. And then it gets even worse. You can't use capital value. You can't use land value. The only potential is you can use area. So, a couple of councils have come up with a neat way of dealing with this, is to actually not transfer stormwater as the asset or as the, but ask the water services entity to deliver the services for stormwater. That then actually keeps the rating mechanism under the Local Government Rating Act, and you rate for the service because you're technically still providing the services, but it's being delivered by the stormwater services entity.
Sorry.
Yeah, I know.
No, I just phased out for a little bit. I just needed to do
Yeah,
it.
no, that's all right. But there's a significant challenge, right? And the reason I know about this is I've got to do a presentation to Tatura in 2.5 weeks, and this I started writing the paper for them and go, oops, right? For the councils that are doing it in-house, not a problem. But for anyone who is physically transferring the asset to our CCO, even if it's their own CCO, is going to have this problem.
Won't it have to be uniform throughout the CCO, all the different components?
Well, that's
Napier Hastings, you know.
Well, actually, the water services entity can do what it likes, right? Except it can't use, it's got to meet that criteria for stormwater, and it can't use a value base, so it can't use the capital of the land as a proxy. It's got to come up with another mechanism. Area is the logical one, but no one's, in my opinion, has actually given us a lot of thought. Now, I did challenge our good friends in DIA when they came up with this, and their rationale is called a water services entity. So it's actually the same as stormwater, we believe, is a service. We're not a benefit entity like a council.
So what did you explain is what some councils have done, sorry, to?
So what other councils
So-
have done?
Oh, they haven't transferred
No,
the
they're not
stormwater.
going to.
Okay, sorry, that's the
They're
part
going
I
to
missed.
retain the
So I
stormwater
couldn't
asset.
understand how
Right?
the council could still charge if the
Yep.
asset was transferred. Right, so they haven't transferred.
They won't, well, they have no one done it at the moment.
Yeah.
They don't plan to transfer
Right.
the stormwater
Okay,
asset.
that makes sense now. Yep.
But the actual doing of the work will be
By them.
done, including all the asset management
Yep.
planning, all that
Yep.
sort of thing will be
Right.
done by the water services entity.
All makes sense. So I didn't hear you say that they weren't transferring the
Yep.
assets. So now that makes sense. Yeah.
But the problem collectively we've got at the moment is we need to talk to Hastings and CHP. Right? And the other question I have Hastings and CHP identified this as an issue? Interestingly, I was at a session last month, where we had one of the guys from DIA, who's on contract, who's done a lot of, he's an ex-CFO, he understands rating, and he goes, he believes that most councils will actually reverse that stormwater decision because of the challenge of recovery.
Yeah.
So the question, why I'm raising this now, is do you want to actually suggest that staff talk to Hastings and CHP
Yes.
to see if that's reasonable? Because otherwise, if you're saying is no, we're happy with the service approach, my recommendation is we don't change stormwater because you're going to have to unpick it in 2 years' time.
So just
Start to talk to.
in the email that Andrew Levioda sent me, he said that in the water services delivery plan, we anticipated that the shareholding councils would retain the responsibility for billing on behalf of the water service entity for the first 3 years, subject to review if the water service entity built in this capability earlier. So it's been assumed, it's been
Is that
anticipated.
specifically relating to stormwater?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think so, so the issue is it's the word billing, right?
Yeah.
What do we mean by billing?
Yeah.
Right?
So
Does it mean rating or does it mean a bill?
Yeah.
Because what's going to happen is the water services entity after there's a transition period. So basically, those councils that are using capital value or land value for stormwater have got 10 years to transition under a billing regime to move from that to a new water services entity to avoid those big spikes. But I see the purpose of stormwater is to prevent flooding and right, and the benefit is greater than most people who are immediately serviced.
Yep.
So we will
have our staff talk to HDC and CHB staff about not transferring.
Okay, so therefore we will continue. Therefore, so what you're saying is, if that is then agreed between the two other councils, you're recommending that we continue to rate for stormwater on capital value over defined areas.
Yep.
Makes sense?
Yep.
And if that's not possible, we won't modify our current stormwater approach because it has to transition. And you'll be rating people if we moved, and then you'd have to reverse it, which is going to be really done.
Yeah.
All right? Share is made?
Yeah.
What's the value of the stormwater assets?
Right. Okay.
Is that going to affect
Okay.
services?
My words crashed off.
Oh.
I've saved it, but
Okay. Okay. All right.
Can I just, how we can't use roads as stormwater?
No, you can't charge the
Yeah.
Can't, so the issue is you can't. The water services entity can't charge the council for getting rid of stormwater off the roads.
So what I'm asking is, what about the gutters down each side of the roads? They're separate or are they part of the road?
Part of the road.
So the bigger picture to this, which probably might not be something that you can talk to, is that if we're not transferring the stormwater assets, presumably we can't transfer the debt relating to the stormwater assets, and that's going to change that whole
model.
So that's something that would need to be worked through. Yeah.
So basically it's saying that any house that's not connected to the stormwater, like on the hill where their stormwater just kind of runs out and down the road, we couldn't charge for their stormwater.
That's right. Yeah.
Correct.
The water services can't.
The water services can't.
That's what I mean.
We don't transfer, we can.
Yeah.
So the
People are
hill,
holding on to them.
Yeah.
do you actually have stormwater assets on the hill?
There are some drains.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not
that's-
everyone.
not
Because some of the old homes, even Napier South, some of the old homes aren't directly connected to the stormwater.
Yeah.
Most of Bayview.
Eh?
Most
Most
of
of
Bayview.
Yeah.
In most of Bayview, you
Yeah.
don't charge very few people, hardly
Yeah.
anyone in Bayview.
I'll be happy.
Right. Okay, you got 15 minutes, Philip.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
You've got a lot of chocolates to give away.
We might give you an extra 5.
Sorry?
We might give you an extra 5 if you ask nicely.
Right, okay. Right, we've done with that, we've done that. Oh, okay, yeah, you only need 5. What's your problem? No, we need to revisit the words.
Yeah.
Okay, last one. Basically, we've talked, we've talked about the CCTV rate, right? You've got 2 options. Do you want it on every property pays a fixed charge? would be your consideration, or you do it on capital value, i.e. the bigger the property, the more rate they pay. What would be your
Fixed.
Fixed?
Yep.
Okay, simple.
Yeah.
CBD.
Yeah.
I-
Gonna benefit.
I don't have a fundamental problem with that.
Right.
Okay.
Fixed.
So the
Happy
question,
about that?
sorry?
Happy about that?
Yeah, I thought there might be some good news. So the next question is, currently we've got two. Now, I'm not suggesting to make it simple, and rates should be simple. Use an existing area that we've already got defined for the rate. You've got two options.
Yeah.
You can do the car parking rate of a 50%, which is the area in red. Right, so you got Marine Parade. Oh, I can't even read, it's too blurry.
Sale Street.
Sale, yep. All right,
Hastings.
yeah.
Doesn't even go up to Dickon.
So that's the existing 50% area. Or
Oh, no, not that.
What?
you've got the CBD and the CBD fringe. I'm not suggesting the CBD fringe, but maybe the CBD. So that goes further north and further south. What's your recommendation in terms of area?
Option 2.
Option 2?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Option 2?
Once the library and the civic precinct is there, that will become a big part of.
Well, option 1
Yeah.
doesn't even include Dickens Street.
No, no.
Yep.
No.
Yep.
Well, no, that option was 50%. Those,
It's a 50% parking rate area.
Yeah,
Not paying
so
50%.
they pay 50% less than everyone else.
Yeah,
Is
that's
that what
right.
you're saying? Yeah.
That's it. I'm just using that
Yeah.
existing
But
area.
those weren't included as where the targeted rate would go.
Yeah. And so what that area, so the main CBD would pay this, and that area would pay 50%
No,
less.
no,
Is that what you've
no,
said?
Everyone
no.
would pay the
Just talking
same.
about-
Oh,
Within that
I thought
area.
you were trying to say that was a lesser area. Well,
No.
then it didn't make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking, why hasn't it got the CBD in there?
But
Right.
that second option covers the area that the CCTV currently operates
Yeah.
within.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Just confirming. Right.
So
Yeah.
that's the existing CBD
Yes.
safe rated area.
That's the
Yeah.
the red area on option 2.
So that's the promotion rated area, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Right. How are we going, typist?
I think I'm getting there.
She's doing well.
She's been promoted.
Yeah.
I know.
It's being recorded, should just
Yeah.
bring it out.
Shall I just sort of read out the things
Yeah,
that we have?
yeah,
agreed?
Sure.
I'm not sure how I
Sally,
can-
you.
Oh, you don't sure how to get on
You're
there?
not recording
Hold it. Can we
summary?
change
Not
the?
today. Not today.
I think that's
Might be able
I'd
to
do it,
change
but it might
that
be-
one, actually.
It'll benefit.
CBD,
What happens if we
It'll
pull that?
benefit from it, won't it?
And put it into
but
mine.
I don't.
Yep. There we go.
think the full-
Yeah.
right,
So they'll pay, but they won't directly have CCTV,
Mm.
but they'll still help
Yep.
three
Perfect.
neighbours.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Here we go.
That's fair enough.
So our last 10 minutes, we're just going to confirm what Caroline has recorded to say. All right, speak now, forever hold your peace. All right.
So agreed to consider a move to use differential capital value.
Tick.
And that, and I've just added some in red advantages that we discussed. A higher CV property more likely to be a higher user of the services. There's a broader spread of rates. It encourages land use efficiency and aligns with property market values. Disadvantages, impact on low-income households with high-value properties, can lead to political pushback, and there's a risk of land banking.
Yep.
And that you're comfortable with the current differentials and that the rationale still stands. However, you,
Differential categories.
Categories.
differential categories.
Categories. Yes, not differential.
Yeah.
Differential
the categories.
category.
Categories. Well spotted.
Yep.
Hasn't got rural residential there.
I've put in here that you preferred one differential for rural.
Oh, I think we changed our mind,
Oh, okay.
didn't we?
We decided to keep
No, keep it, yeah.
the two we currently
Yeah.
have.
Okay.
Is to keep, well, the proposal is to keep it, subject to any final model.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yep. So my last sentence was that you would, and I'll tidy this all up, but you would review the differentials when you see the impacts of the capital
You'd have
value
to
on
do
the
that.
rates.
Yep. It's noted that we will. Yep.
I did make a note that you thought the differential for commercial could be a smaller factor than under land value to ensure that the rates increase for commercial doesn't significantly increase, but not as low that the residential properties are subsidising.
Yep.
That makes sense.
Okay. Stormwater rate, made a comment here about directing us to talk to Central Hawke's Bay and Hastings regarding how the stormwater will be billed and come back to you with any impact on debt and financials on the model if we were to retain the stormwater assets.
I think sorry, Caroline, to interrupt. I think we want to discuss with them whether we want to transfer the stormwater assets
Yes.
or retain ownership
Okay.
to allow us to continue to rate for them.
Correct.
Okay.
And I think we need to do a bit more work on that.
Yeah.
Don't you love the government with these great
Oh, we just
legislation?
love the government full stop at the moment, Philip. We love them. They're our
Get
best
rid of them.
friends.
They're
rid of
creating
all of
sorts
them, I
work
think.
for
Just
tolerant
like
people.
council, they say about council, let's just get rid of all of them.
I know, yeah. They want to do it themselves. They believe they can do it better. Okay. All right. Yep.
Officers.
And I don't think we need to record the one on CCTV. We've already discussed it. It's the CBD. It's the CBD promotion rate area.
Yeah.
Done.
Done.
Well
Oh,
done.
yeah, the CBD. Yeah, so confirm the preferred. So the
Yep.
existing area is the preferred area to be charged. So that's the CBD promotion rated
Yep.
area. And
That's it.
that was it.
That's it. Well done, team.
Next steps.
Oh,
You've
next
got
steps.
another
Oh,
slide.
Oh, next steps. Might not affect everybody. There's one or two not standing.
They'll be watching on with interest though.
They will be watching on with
Oh,
interest.
yeah. They'll
I'm
be
sure you will
online.
be. Right? Or you're going to completely go on holiday, are you?
No.
Yeah. Going
I'm on
overseas.
holiday already.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm here, aren't I?
You are, Max.
Yes.
Right, okay.
I've got some unfinished business.
So you got some unfinished business, have you?
Is that worth a chocolate? Do you think?
You've already had one.
Oh, I had a little.
You can have this one.
Just for the detective.
I'm only here for the chocolate.
Are you? Right, at least you're honest. I don't know, you've done pretty well with your contribution with that subject to ChatGPT.
Thank you.
Right, so basically, the 6th of November, we're going to have a refresher on rates, and we're also then going to bring what the direction is from this council. Then, it might actually be, it'll be a second workshop in November because we're just juggling dates at the moment. About doing some initial considerations. February, we will do some serious modelling. And like over three workshops, then we'll draft the revenue and financing policy ready for consultation in April, have hearings in May, final decisions in June, and set the new rates, we'll have the revenue and financing policy adopted and set the rates.
Woohoo!
Done and dusted.
Exciting. Yeah, can't wait.
Simple, eh?
What we all look forward
Well,
to.
the rubber will hit the road next year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there'll be lots of work, not only for elected members, but for staff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
A lot of work.
It's all right, but I think it's important that, and we will also be looking at potentially the impact of the UAGC.
Yeah.
Particularly with what relief is available for councils now you're not rating in the future for water and wastewater. Because that lowers the total amount of rates and therefore reduces your ability to have a higher UAGC. But there is some transition that's available. What is
Calculators coming out and see what.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, team.
Thank you, Philip.
Thank you.
Thank you for all of your hard work with us.
Thanks, mate.
Well, it's not finished yet, but thank you. I appreciate
Well,
it.
I'm saying that in case I'm not here. And
I know.
but-
Because, yeah, I look, believe it or not, I'm also going to be
Unemployed.
I'm going to be unemployed as well. And half my work, 60% of my work stops on
Oh,
next week. As an independent chair, you see, I may not get reappointed. No one might want.
I'm sure you'll be fine.
How did they book you by term? You didn't do the crossover?
3 of them did it over crossover.
Okay, yeah.
The rest didn't. Yeah.
Interesting. You think they want some bloody continuity?
Continuity, yeah.
I know. I know. It's all right.
Random.
You didn't identify that as a risk.
Yeah, I did. It is what it is, right? I've been,
Yeah, you've been around the block a few times, eh, Philip?
well, I've been out on my own for 18 years.
Yeah, I love it.
You know, how many days I've been
I'm
unemployed?
assuming that somewhere here is.
Didn't have
Got a few more insurance over the last year.
Kia ora koutou. This is Neil Shitasaki from Tamakumai. She is 18 months of work with Bill Roberts and I to organise staff exchange from Tamakumai City Hall. And she's spearheading the preparation, I suppose, for the delegation that's arriving on the 20th and 21st of November. Neil did this presentation to the executive leadership team about 2 weeks ago, and it was so cool that I thought you guys should hear it as well, so that you're also a little bit prepared if you're all still sitting around the table on the 20th and 21st of November. So I'll leave it to you.
Thank you for taking your time for me today. I'm really happy to be here with you, and I'm looking forward to presenting to you about Tomakomai City, Napier's sister city in Japan. But first, let me introduce myself. I'm Mio Shirasaki. I came here from Tomakomai City in Hokkaido, Japan. I work at Tomakomai City Hall, and I came to Napier as a dispatch staff on the Sister City Exchange. I'm going to work in Napier until the end of November. I like to go to cafes in my free time, and my favorite foods are coffee and ice cream. Since I've heard New Zealand is famous for ice cream, I'm looking forward to trying lots of different ice cream and finding my favorite in New Zealand. By the way, I'm still learning English, especially I'm not good at speaking. But I hope I can communicate with many people in Napier during my time here. So please feel free to talk to me. So now, let me introduce about Tomakomai City. Tomakomai is located in the southwestern part of Hokkaido. It covers an area of about 560 square kilometers. The population is around 160,000 people, making it the fourth largest city in Hokkaido. It takes about 18 hours by plane to get from Napier City to Tomakomai City. As we continue, we'll explore some of the natural wonders that make Tomakomai truly special, starting with Lake Utonai. Lake Utonai is known as a sanctuary for wild birds, with around 270 species of birds, most notably wild geese, ducks, and swans, confirmed to inhabit the area. The lake is beautiful all year round, so please be sure to visit if you come to Tomakomai. Next, this is Mount Talumai. Mount Talumai is extremely rare composite volcano with a lava dome that is designated as a natural monument of Hokkaido. The climb is easy and it's suitable for both beginners and experienced hikers to enjoy. Next, this is Kira Kira Park. Kira Kira means glitter in Japanese. This park is located on the seafront and was named Kira Kira Park because visitors can enjoy the view of the sea glistening in the sunlight. You can enjoy walking your dog, fishing, and attending various events. For example, Tomakomai City Hall hosts a food truck event in the summer and music event in the autumn. In addition, the monument symbolizing Tomakomai, pictured in the top left photo of this slide, was built 2 years ago. As you can see in the bottom photo, the monument is illuminated using projection mapping at night. Next, let me introduce Tomakomai's famous foods. Tomakomai offers a wide variety of seafood, shellfish, vegetables, and fruits. In particular, surf clams are especially popular among both locals and tourists. You can eat surf clam curry ramen at ramen restaurants in Tomakomai. Next, I'd like to introduce our city's official mascot, Tomachop. Tomachop was designed by local high school students about 15 years ago. Tomachop's design shows off Tomakomai's local specialties. For example, this charming swan wears a surf clam hat and a blue honeysuckle necklace. Tomachop is a swan because there are many swans at Lake Utonai, and their tail is a Japanese iris, Tomakomai City's flower. Tomachop is good at dancing and ice skating, and serves as the city's tourism ambassador. I hope you will remember Tomakomai's local specialties through Tomachop's design, and that it will spark your interest in our city. Finally, I'd like to share with you the history of the sister city relationship between Tomakomai and Napier. In May 1971, OG Paper Company, Nippon Paper Industries, and Cater Consolidated created a joint venture and established Pan Pacific Limited, a company that produces paper pulp. In 1973, a ship was commissioned to sail between the two ports in order to import pulp made by Panpak to Tomakomai. To commemorate the occasion, the mayor of Tomakomai sent a letter to the mayor of Napier, which started exchange between our two cities. Subsequently, the Hawke's Bay Harbor Commission started talks about forming a sister port relationship, and in August of the same year, a missionary named Kevin Daston and his wife visited Tomakomai with a formal request letter. Mayor Oizumi, the administrator of Tomakomai Port, happily accepted the offer, and on February 15, 1978, Tomakomai Port and Napier Port became sister ports. As the sister port agreement led to increased citizen exchanges, the Napier City Council suggested a sister city relationship with Tomakomai in October 1978, and the Tomakomai City Council agreed to the agreement in December of the same year. To finalize the sister city relationship, the mayor of Tomakomai visited Napier City with an official delegation and participated in a joint signing ceremony at the Napier City Council chambers in October 1978. These are double-flowered cherry blossom trees in Tomakomai. The trees were planted to commemorate the long-standing sister city relationship between Tomakomai and Napier. This photo was taken in May of this year. Thanks to these cherry blossom trees, the citizens of Tomakomai feel that Napier is always in our hearts. We hope to continue building friendly relations with the people of Napier. This photo was taken when these cherry blossom trees were planted. In recent years, opportunities for this kind of exchange have become rare due to COVID. But as we will be celebrating the 15th anniversary of our sister city relationship in 5 years, I hope to revitalize exchanges with the people of Napier again. Yeah, I hope that this presentation sparked your interest in Tomakomai. Thank you for listening.
Anyone got any questions? Not that we want to put you on
Can
the
I just
spot.
say something? I'll never forget when we walked into the civic building in Te Mokamai. It was sort of layered with, different stories, and there was a big empty, atrium. I don't know if it's the same now, but anyway, when we walked in, we're down the bottom, and every row of these stories was full of people, and they all applauded us. And I thought, what a wonderful welcome. They were so pleased to see us.
And a big sign at the airport you just showed me.
Yes, a big sign at the airport, welcome to Te Mokamai. That was what greeted us when we arrived. Thank you, in English and Japanese.
Thank you very much.
Oh, very cool. Thank you very much, Mel.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Arikata gozaimasu.
Yeah, we'll have to do something like that. Hey? They have been here since then, as you know, but
My dad's been 3 years in Japan. Your father did.
yeah, it's really
I've been to Hokkaido. The island. He went several times.
Connie now.
He went
But we've got to wait for the Hastings.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're on their way. That should be really soon.
Okay. Are they coming in person?
Thank you.
Yes, they are.
Hope to see you
Oh, cool.
again.
I assumed they'd be online.
We're lucky we get them in person.
Very good.
Jason?
Yeah, I'll go there. I just messaged her saying
Oh, I feel like a coffee actually.
Isn't it?
One of those colours when I wear
Oh, well,
that colour, people do
Oh,
it. I mean, you know how
Oh,
Some
always-
colours.
well,
Yeah.
to
I
make
feel
my
like
eyes go blue.
I'm happy with just a mug and some instant.
Yeah.
Then again, the flash one.
It's kind of come back in the last year. It used to be really hard to find.
Is it out there?
Very well done.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, I'll just tell you another very funny thing about Neil.
Yeah,
It's not
I've
fun.
got a meeting at
It's,
10
it's
for about
important.
half an hour.
So one of the things that Neil wanted to do when she was here was learn about Te Ao Māori. And last week she attended a kapahaka practice for the first time ever on Wednesday. And I'm not sure if you took note
Yes.
of the performance
Yes.
on Thursday
Yeah.
following one kapahaka practice.
Yeah, she did very well.
And what we did on Wednesdays, we actually challenged Mel that she needs to be able to be confident enough to stand up and sing for her delegation with the kapahaka group at the Pōheri on the 20th of November. I think she'll be fine.
Yes, you look brilliant. That's lovely. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Valedictory.
One of the things that I found, a lot of the Māori boys that have gone to play rugby in Japan find the vowel sounds
Yes.
between Japanese and Māori is so similar.
Similar.
Yes. Well, Mel can almost introduce herself in Te Reo Māori as well. She can go kia ora,
I only know
Paul.
one language.
Mel, aho.
Yes, yes.
She can do that
Nice.
already, which is, yeah.
Mel, the most important question is though, where is the best ice cream you've tasted so far?
Sorry.
Where is the best ice cream that you've tasted so
Best
far?
ice cream. To be honest, I've never eaten ice cream so far because the temperature is still.
Never too cold for ice
We're
cream.
waiting.
Can't get hot ice cream.
Fair
I'll
enough.
try soon.
We have great plans to go across the road. for the ice
Yes.
Yeah, look this.
Yeah.
Rushman Rose.
Well, then there's the new one opening.
Oh, yes.
Takitimu.
Takitimu.
And then there's the one by Max. There's going to be a few.
Oh.
When I was working in the lab, we used to do test ice cream for bacteria before it went to Japan, and it was in these little tubs like this, chocolate and vanilla. There was the only two flavors, little, and it was the nicest ice cream I've ever tasted. Still to this day, it was like mousse, but it was all getting exported to. It was made by New American then, but in Auckland, and it was all going in little tubs to Japan. It was just amazing. So you do get New Zealand ice cream in Japan, yeah. Well, you did. It was quite a few years ago, but man.
Maybe we'll have ice cream at Nuit Blanche
Mm.
Saturday.
Have you seen the job out from Air New Zealand at the moment?
The what?
The job out.
Uh,
from Air New Zealand?
Ice cream taste
Ice cream
testers.
tasting panel.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know that you get paid.
Oh, is it unpaid, is it?
I'm not sure.
who cares? Ice cream.
Yeah.
Air New Zealand.
Yeah, this one.
I have to go here in 5 minutes. Really soon.
What's the new one called again? The December sign. Because they're putting up the sign.
Oh, I haven't been there, the new one. Yeah.
Hi, Kitty.
I do wonder how they'll do because it's kind of, I guess,
Good old tip top.
Kind
Pokey, get the ball rolling.
Yum.
yeah, it's not like
Followed by a Feijoa.
maybe a drive-through.
Yeah, maybe.
Drive-through. I mean, Pandora.
That's not really.
Or there. Pandora.
Just
You know.
go through that side.
Basics.
Yeah, go through that side.
Yeah, they're putting up. We just haven't paid.
Well, it depends if they haven't had a lot.
Something else in as
You do a good strawberry one or a raspberry one, orange chocolate chip.
Boysenberry bread.
Yep, they haven't had those.
Are they making it themselves? I don't even know what they do.
English
Oh, that is the best stuff.
You'd like to think it went to.
Yeah, I like the caramelly toffee ones though. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just a little bit further out of the main part, isn't it? Like,
Well, it's not. It's not something.
it's not really.
People on the bikes. The bike goes past there, maybe. That would be good. Or driving.
I envisage them moving, like just like
You've got to get Philip to let you write the questions, Caroline.
What are we waiting for? Yeah.
Are people online behaving with the infection, or is it kicking off with it? I'm talking about the general public. And civil.
Was this it for civil?
No, actually, it's a dumb question. It's never civil. No. It's the
Is it ever
same-
civil?
Is it the same as usual?
Same dick.
Okay. It's the same people, isn't it?
It's funny about the cherry trees because I stopped yesterday because I've got Yoss's granddaughter down. The cherry trees around Knightsbridge are all
That's beautiful.
flowering.
A great photo.
Yeah, with the
In a
dogs.
frame. With cherry blossoms. Oh. She looks like your daughter.
I got asked today 3 times if I was her nana,
You watched the cricket last night, Keith?
Well, you kind of.
and then I told her to
Lost
watch
interest just after the.
The first over.
things do.
It got better.
Well, I
I
did
said-
lose
It did get better. I watched it.
And then I watched the guy get his 100, and
Yeah,
then
I'd
I
like
watched
to
a
cross
bit of the
over
second
there.
half. Then I lost
Coffee Table
interest
Bridge
again.
on the weekend.
Clicked onto it during the night and then I
It was
clicked onto the women's
Quite
during
emotional,
the
really.
night
I
too.
found
Oh,
it
yeah.
quite moving to.
They're both
another
about as
tip
good
in
as
the
each
box
other.
of
Oh no.
It's just happened. It's 7 now.
Very warm welcome.
After one, we started.
Thank you for, I assumed you'd be online, so thank you for travelling the whole way.
The whole way.
Distance.
Using a bridge.
Are you happy for us to start? Or
Yep.
Go for it.
Cool. Good afternoon. It's nice to see you all again. Before we get into the bridge workshop, I was just going to give a bit of an update. I have changed roles since we last spoke. So I think just so you're not sitting here thinking like, why is this regional park planner talking to me about bridges? I've moved into a new role there, look after strategy and investment for our non-waters infrastructure. So that's looking at so asset manager for land transport in a harbour and our coastal structures. So that's a continuation of the last role as well. So insofar as the land transport component, I'm really just looking at the capital delivery portion. We still are well supported by our alliance, which is the Napier City Council Downer, for our maintenance and operations. It's just continuing. Cool. So for today's workshop, I'm not super familiar how much we've talked about it with this table, so please feel free to stop at any point if we need to backtrack a little bit and bring you up to speed with what's happened in the past and where we're going. But the purpose of today, we're not here to ask for a decision or direction. It's to make sure that you're feeling like you've got enough information in front of you. You might be getting some feedback from community soon. We're about to gear up for works on both of these bridges. So just so you're well armed with information and know that we'll be coming back to you soon for decisions. with me, I've got Darren de Klerk and, I know your last name, sorry. Scrumger, David Scrumger from Hastings District Council. They're leading the bridges for us. So the two bridges, they're our only two boundary bridges. They're huge pieces of infrastructure. We've got an existing memorandum of understanding with Hastings that they look after the maintenance of these bridges. They're quite old. Well, when they were standing, they were quite old. And we were able to leverage on Hastings' capability in bridge management space. So it's been a long-standing MOU, and we are, because these bridges failed during the cyclone, we've lent into the MOU that Hastings is continuing to lead this project for us, but we're 50-50 here. They're really important links in our transport network, particularly to provide resilience. So that's alongside the Hawkesbury Expressway as well. Because I'm only 4 weeks into this, I don't want to lead you wrong, and that's why we've got David and Darren here. And I'll hand over to them, but I'll jump back in for like a Napier lens at any point. Happy to take questions, and we can go at whatever speed you need.
Thanks, Connie. Yeah, kia ora, everyone. As Connie said, I'm Darren de Klerk, so my role at Hastings is as the Director of Infrastructure Delivery. So I look after the capital program across Transport, Three Waters and Growth as well. And I have Dave here with me. Do you want to introduce yourself, Dave?
Yeah, kia ora, everybody. So David Scrumger. I joined Hastings District Council at the start of the year as Bridge Recovery Manager. And yeah, it's interesting coming across from contracting the last 15 years prior to sitting, I guess, yeah, client side as the principal and holding contractors to account now. So, yeah.
So look, we reached out obviously with NCC probably a few months ago as we started developing both Redcliffe and Brookfields more seriously. So Redcliffe is probably about 6 months ahead of where Brookfields is at the moment. And Redcliffe, as Connie alluded to, has a project reference group that NCC sit on, and that's in the early stages, just confirming the alignment initially of where we're at. And we're going to run you through a little bit of detail around how that process and that optioneering is looking, and how we obviously reach a decision and how we're working with our partners in that space as well. And Brookfield, as I said, is probably 6 to 9 months behind that, and that we're really at the early stages of feasibility. And we've been largely waiting on what's happening with the Hawkesbury Expressway. So I guess, you know, behind the scenes, we've obviously been waiting for their funding to be announced and also not wanting to get this project ahead of any funding announcement or any business case that they might have. So both of these projects are obviously NZTA funded, but we still have to go through quite a few steps to unlock funding. So we don't just get the funding all at once, we get the funding as we work through certain milestones. And again, each project's in a different space, and we'll kind of update you as we go. Yeah, we'll jump on the agenda. So look, we ran our council through this last Tuesday, and the intent was, as Connie alluded to, wanting to just, give you a bit of insight into what's going on as well. With Brookfields, we would like to move into demolishing the remaining structure, and we want to make sure that we control the narrative and the comms in that space. So as people start seeing infrastructure or diggers in and around the bridge, they might start asking questions about, is it going to be reconstructed? So wanting to just control the narrative, get some good comms out around that space so that we can at least show the pathway to ultimately getting there, but knowing that we're not going there straight away. So that was what kind of triggered the start of this approach, as well as obviously Redcliffe, how do we, when we get closer to that alignment option and furthering where we put the new bridge, how we again communicate some of that. As Connie alluded to, there is a memorandum of understanding between the two councils. Hastings is leading the operations, but as part of that, the project as well. So wanting to make sure that, one, that we factor in any key considerations or concerns as we move through that, but also that we update you as things progress. So again, wanting to take some feedback around what's possibly important, but also what you might like to see in the future as we kind of move through that process. We can't obviously do it alone either, so that's really important, but also our relationship with NZTA, who at this stage are an 83% funder. So they provide 83% through that funding assistance rate you might hear people talk about. At this stage, we've got certainty of that till 30th of June 2029. And then there's, I guess, the risk or the movement back to a standard or traditional funding rate, which is around 53%. Might be somewhere between 83 and 53. Our driver is to try and maximise that funding rate so that we don't have to put more of a local share in, and as it stands, it's the council's put 50-50 of that in, so 17%, around 8.5% each to cover the remaining costs. Yeah, I've kind of covered the other two things. And look, and the Hawke's Bay Expressway, obviously, the other bit is there's a great opportunity, I think, for the region to work together with some pretty big infrastructure being built on the expressway. Both of these bridges, as you can probably jump onto the next slide, sit up and downstream of what is going to be the new bridge that goes over the expressway for the two lanes. So there's some real synergies in that design process and some of the investigations that has already worked in that space. So I guess I don't need to tell you about the kind of location and where they are, but yeah, we've got one bridge upstream and one bridge downstream of them. With the NZTA process, we have to work through a feasibility space, and that looks at, I guess, justifying what the infrastructure that we are going to be putting forward. We start to look at it firstly at a base case or a like-for-like replacement, and then how do we start to add on the economic case to do more than that. And in Hastings' case, we've been fortunate through some of the NIF or CIP funding, which is the central government funding we have for the recovery work, to do some of the betterment work that we probably wouldn't have been able to get away with had we followed the traditional NZTA approach. An example being Mōtio Puketapu Bridge that recently opened. If we'd followed the NZTA process, would have been a one-laner, probably a little bit higher and a little bit wider, but we'd have really struggled to get that second lane and the shared user path on. All right. Dave, do you want to talk a little bit about the bridge?
Yeah, so Redcliffe, as Darren said, is sort of 6 to 9 months ahead of Brookfields. So that's already gone through its feasibility study. The business case has been proven, and we now have funding to proceed with detailed design. The next steps here for us is actually landing on a preferred alignment. So to that end, we've got the project reference group established, which is sort of the key stakeholders, mana whenua partners, and now sort of looking to get community a little bit more involved there. So actually we'll be out at the Waiheke Marae on 11th of October. So that's anticipated to be a pretty well attended session. And that'll be bringing the community up to speed on what the current alignment options are. And that's what this slide talks to, in that the span length, well, the total span of the structure is to be determined depending on that alignment option, and then that leads into the site investigations, which are the key bits of information that can then feed that detailed design. In parallel, we're starting some of the resource consent application elements, because we're looking to just get a consent that covers that stretch of the river of which any of the alignment options will sit on. And the other key point there is just that time frame. So we're looking to get detailed design completed next week and then move into construction with the view to being complete by the end of 2028 and certainly by mid-2029 before we lose that higher funding assistance rate. Budget you see there is what's in the long-term plan currently. But we're anticipating the total project cost to be in the order of 60 million or so at this stage.
I might just jump in on that one. When we first entered into doing this project, the projected cost was way higher, it was at about that, just over 100 million. And so NCC put in 52 million in LTP. And so it's hopefully going to reduce as the certainty improves.
Yeah, so part of that is when we do these initial budgets, they're called a P95 estimate, which is like the 95% probability that the worst case scenario will be delivered for that cost or less. And as we get more certainty, as we go through these processes, that number gets refined a bit more and it's trending down, which is awesome.
Probably just adding on that as well. The reference group, and you may have some questions around kind of the formation of that. So initially the reference group was a partner agency. So NCC, HTC, NZTA, our project team and our mana whenua partners. So we went out to our mandated iwi organisations and hapu groups and we asked for representation back onto there. At the moment we've got 3 mana whenua reps, 2 from Ngāti Paro, and we've got 1 from Springfield with Tiffany Cottrell sitting on that side as well. So we've got some representation. As David alluded to, community group, community representation is something that we're addressing now with the community meeting. The reference group's only met twice to date with obviously the wider community meeting. There was a survey that was done late 2023 to try and get a bit of a feel for alignment options. It was obviously a while ago, but we are looking at redoing that after the community meeting next week to get a bit of a better insight into that space.
Cool. Yeah, I'll jump through these a wee bit quicker because this sort of just touches on the cyclone damage and then what's happened since. But debris loading, structure failed. It was built in the 30s after the earthquake, sort of shallower foundations than a modern engineering structure would have. Since then, temporary crossing was established. That in itself has limitations. It had a 5-year design life. It's got speed and weight restrictions, ongoing maintenance requirements as well. If you can imagine, you know, it is probably the most robust part of what's there now, but it's linking into a fragile structure on each end. They don't integrate properly together. So then, you know, the vibration, etc., from vehicles is problematic as well. So there is this increased level of monitoring that goes on. There's instrumentation set up as well. So that's monitored in real time, sends alerts to people as necessary. And yeah, this thing, 5-year design life. So we'll have to nurse it through beyond its 5-year design life as it stands through to the end of construction for the new structure. And if we can't get the new structure approved, well, then the crossing ceases to exist, probably by the end of 2028. Often breaches of that weight restriction. We're working with police from time to time with that. Cameras set up so we get number plates and we refer them back to business owners as well. Everyone sort of panics because they don't want enforcement. But the key message is we want people to respect these limits, otherwise we risk losing the crossing itself. Cool. Yeah, this slide. It's a good slide, this one.
Yeah, look, so this is just to show you a little bit around the options that we're looking at. So we've got, the way they're numbered is we've got option 2A, B, C, and option 3. Option 1 is essentially do nothing or put it on exactly the same location that it is. And sorry, option 1 is do nothing. Option 2A is put it exactly on the same location it is. Challenge with option 2A, and while we haven't really progressed it forward, is that means we have to take the existing temporary structure down while we build something new. And again, that's very disruptive for our community. So we're going to focus a little bit on option 2B, 2C, and 3. As you can see there, one is upstream in 2C, and 2B is slightly offset upstream as well.
Yeah, but immediately adjacent.
Immediately adjacent. So the idea is that they sit next to where the temporary structure is at the moment, and that we can build them offline so we can maintain that existing structure. Option 3 looks at us moving further up Springfield Road and then coming across the river directly into the Links Road intersection. And we'll talk a little bit about where our thinking is. We're obviously still working through that optioneering phase on the preferred alignment. It's pretty clear that it's starting to unravel that there is a preferred alignment, but we do need to move through that process. As kind of David alluded to, we'll kind of skip through some of this. The other reason we held a little bit off, you argue, why we're only moving on now is to allow the regional council to do their work with the flood stop bank in Waiheke as well, and that allows us to set the level of the bridge as well. And so the fact that they've now moved through that, they've got their consent, and obviously that work's under construction at the moment, does clear the pathway. At a really rudimentary level, it's making sure that that bridge sits above the crest of the stop bank, so that if something were to go, it's the stop bank that's overtopping before the bridge is lapping water. As I said, the funding is 83% at the moment. We're obviously working really hard to try and get that completed by June 2029 so that we maximise the most of that funding rate. We do still have to work through a unlocking funding process. As David alluded to, we have got design funding, which is about 3 million. That takes us through to construction, through to the back end of next year at the moment, and that has been secured.
Yeah, cool. Just to talk quickly through these alignment options. So option 2B, that's the one immediately adjacent upstream. That would be the lowest price project. However, it's got a few other interface issues with you're working closer to the temporary crossing, so that creates risks with lifting and craneage to the public, and then how that's tied in on Springfield Road as well. That roundabout interchange, you don't have as much ability to build it offline, so there'd be a higher level of impact to the community, which would be frustrating for some. Option 2C is the one that squares the structure up to the river. It's the shortest bridge of all, about 210 metres total span length. It removes some of those interface issues with the temporary structure. There's no land acquisition required for this at all. And then the roundabout interchange on Springfield Road, you can see between the two options, anyway, it moves it slightly further up Springfield Road, which allows that existing intersection to remain in place a lot further through construction, which reduces the public impact.
Probably just to add on that as well as the trails that have existed there as well. You can see them in those early images. So obviously we're trying our best to connect them in. They're really important assets to our community. So how do you again interlink them in so that you have that pathway and that connection, as well as some of those safety improvements for people, coming off the bridge and onto the trails.
And then option 3, there'd be land acquisition required through existing orchards. It's the longest structure, approximately 400 metres in length. The total project cost would be around 30% higher. It's got sort of worse outcomes from an environmental perspective as well, and would have to traverse an old waste tip that's been clay capped. And the other piece here is you've had the Redcliffe power station upgrade. We've had the 33 kV lines to deal with as well as part of this project.
A question, have you considered, would it be possible for the temporary bridge to be retained like for cyclists?
So all 3 of these options have a shared user path attached to them as well. So have you been out to Motia Puketapu Bridge?
Yep.
Yeah, it'd be similar width and a shared user path.
Oh, good.
As well.
Yeah, look, so I guess next steps for us is David and I are working quite closely with NZTA, in particular around the Hawke's Bay Expressway team, so trying to understand their designs and some of the design team working on that. So we've been fortunate enough, we are using WSP for this design. They've been designing the Hawke's Bay Expressway work. We've got about half of the team that have been working on the expressway now moving on to Redcliffe Bridge, so that brings some of that knowledge that they've learned, some of the shared investigations to try and again keep costs down, but also accelerate the program as much as we possibly can. We do need to make a decision on a location at some point in the near future just to maintain on program. As David alluded to, we want to get into construction at the back end of next year to give ourselves 2 years of construction to be able to meet that June 2029 timeframe. That means we really need all of next year to finalise design and procurement of contractors to do the work. We're currently moving through some things like some really technical things like the structural options report, peer reviews and design plans, etc. Again, leveraging as much as we can in the expressway work, and then obviously getting in through into procurement. And there's a real opportunity, I guess, as a region through the expressway work as well to leverage some of the procurement and even some of the special parts that they've brought in for some of those projects. So we're just trying to understand a little bit around the logistics of doing that and our ability to comply with the relevant council rules and from a procurement sense, but also some of the NZTA requirements that we need to work on. But if you can think at a really rudimentary level again around if we were able to piggyback a project off the back of the expressway and then possibly Brookfields in time as well, really being able to drive costs down but give certainty to these bridge builders that are in the region moving from one job to another, so which we've been able to unlock through our Puketapu and now Risington and Dartmoor, so we are seeing some of that through there. There's obviously a number of things around community engagement, mana whenua engagement, resource consent preparation, some of the cultural impact assessment work and ecological work. So all of those things obviously need to traverse. We also don't want to spend too much time on an option that possibly is not going forward. So doing as much investigation as we can to inform that optioneering, but then not doing more than we need to make it redundant, I guess. And there'll be other things like noise and vibration assessment, very similar to work that they're doing across the expressway work. So that's Redcliffe in a kind of nutshell. Happy to kind of take any questions before we move on to Brookfields.
When Redcliffe was destroyed, the locals, from what I hear, quite enjoyed the fact that they didn't have traffic going backwards and forwards. And I guess they've got the opportunity to talk to you about that in terms of the options.
Yeah, and we're already having those discussions, but I guess, and I talked about the early survey, when we did that early survey in late 2023, it was just over 50% in favour of restoring the Waiheke link versus just under, I guess, wanting to look at possibly making the Waiheke a dead end. We think that that's shifted a bit more now that the road's been open and access into Taradale is a bit easier from our anecdotal feedback so far, but we definitely have some of the community who are interested in I guess, making Waiheke a dead end again. As David alluded to, that would be done through that option 3, where you're actually coming into Links Road. It's proving pretty challenging, I think, as we move through technical, as you know, with the old closed landfill through there, but also the cost and the length, etc. So it also means some of the Waiheke safety improvements that are on the table possibly aren't needed if you're not having that through fare. So there are pros and cons with both, but yeah, that's the optioneering discussion that we need to work
That's
through.
part of what we want to draw out at the community hui on the 11th is what is the vision for Waiheke into the future. The link where it is currently, that actually could in future give them potable water and like reticulated sewage in Waiheke as well. I know there's a view to establish more Papakāinga housing. Currently, it's all standalone infrastructure, so there's opportunity with this broader piece of infrastructure, but really we want the community to be on board with it too.
Okay, Brookfields. So we'll, I guess, just give you a bit of background on Brookfields. It's the bigger structure than Redcliffe, so it's about 280 metres long, constructed around 1935.
Wow.
Bridge had 23 spans and it had a passing bay in the middle at a length of about 36 metres. Prior to the cyclone, it did have a weight restriction on it, so it was limited at 88% of Class 1. So there were some weaknesses, I guess, already starting to form, given the age of the structure, as well as some seismic concerns. The bridge, though, is classified as what's known as a primary collector route. It's trafficking about 2,500 vehicles a day, and about 6% of those were heavy vehicles. The impact of the cyclone was that about 6 of those 23 spans were globally damaged or collapsed and fell into the waterway. Those have since been tidied up, but now we're looking at those spans that are still in situ. There are the other spans as well are cracked and damaged. Not all of them, but a number of them are, and that makes any repair work challenging. But when we do the feasibility work that's underway at the moment, we do have to look at the ability to repair what is there already. As we alluded to, it's about 6 to 9 months behind. The feasibility study is underway, and that needs to consider things like the Hawke's Bay Expressway. So getting that certainty of their project, also getting certainty the expressway is not going to be tolled, makes a big impact on Brookfields. Because if it was tolled and we're offering a bypass or a way around that, that impacts as well. Things like the Hawke's Bay Regional Land Transport Plan and our integrated traffic model across the region are key inputs into that feasibility study. The feasibility study also looks at an economic assessment, so looks at the benefit to cost ratio of putting this bridge back from an economic point of view, as well as a number of other factors. And that ultimately helps us have a business case that stands up to go and unlock future funding. We're looking at a number of options, as we alluded to, actually 5 in situ. One is do nothing. Then we look at repair the existing structure, rely solely on the expressway, 1 lane or the 2 lane. But I think we pretty clearly have identified that the expressway, the do nothing, and the repair the existing structure are pretty challenging and not really where we want to be moving the project through. So we are looking at unlocking and working with NZTA, one to unlock funding as we finalise the business case or the feasibility study to get that design for the next stages. We have got funding verbally approved for the demolition, and we've got the feasibility study funding at the moment. Budget-wise, we've got in our LTP, or HTC's LTP, about 58 million, again 50-50 with Napier, and Connie might confirm how much Napier's put aside.
Yeah, so we've got ours earmarked for 32 million in about 2034. So yeah, we've got options of reducing that and bringing it forward to entertain as well.
And I guess just those numbers are the total project costs. Obviously, 83% of that is proposed to be NZTA funded, with about 8.5% remaining for each of the councils to fund.
And sorry, guys, is that to bring it to single lane?
No, so that number that we're
options on the next slides.
Yeah, but that number we're quoting is the worst case cost. So that's the double lane. Yeah, and as David alluded to, that's that P95 cost. We actually think, given what we're seeing in the market and the design and the efficiencies with some of the other projects, that number might come down by about 10 million. Again, both councils need to bring money forward to unlock both of these opportunities, and I guess that's the high level piece there. The 2 options that really are lending themselves to further progress is looking at a single lane like for like. So again, the kind of the minimum requirement, that cost is somewhere in that $25 million mark for construction, possibly about 30 million when you factor in other things as well. The betterment concept, which again is a bit more challenging with NZTA, and behind the scenes we're obviously working with NIF and our other funding partners, a bit like we did with Mo Te Puketapu, to try and unlock some of that. Hastings still has within its back-to-back clause with Napier that it needs to repay about 8.3 million to NCC, because when we put the funding agreement together with the Crown, we juggled a few things. Redcliffe was initially in, we pulled it out. So there's an 8.3 element of Hastings' NIF money that needs to come back to NCC to possibly use for these kind of projects. And obviously, yeah, we were looking at with a shared user path is probably about 45 million, maybe about 50 million once you've added all the costs on. Program-wise, as 6 to 9 months, we're still pushing hard for a June 2029 completion, again, to maximise that funding rate. Part of that really is looking at how we can smartly procure and design our construction partner progress, as I alluded to with the Hawke's Bay Expressway. Depending on the type of bridge, so there's typically 2 types of bridges that you may use, and one is called a Super T, which is what they use on the expressway, where kind of moulded or precast in a facility and brought out, on hollow core, which we use on the local roads a bit more. We typically don't put Super Ts on our local roads, but with the leveraging of the expressway, there might be the ability to kind of get that for at the same price, if not cheaper, than what we would do for our traditional hollow core. So, and by using some of the moulds and all the things that they have got for the expressway, it could mean that we can move it faster through.
Can I ask a question, please? Sorry. Obviously there's no mana whenua right next door like there is with Waiheke, but are you consulting with the locals or mana whenua or the iwi or anybody?
Yeah, so again, because this is 6 to 9 months, we haven't formed a reference group yet. The next step, as soon as we've got the feasibility that confirms, yes, this is worth progressing through, then we would open those discussions, one, to confirm which option to go with, what are some of the key considerations, whether it's around protecting the awa, the waterway, the ecology, the mahi toi, or the pose that could be erected, those kind of things. So, as well as our resource consent. So regardless, mana whenua engagement will be really important for the resource consent application, and it's just, again, it's good practice for council. So yes, absolutely.
There'll be an element of picking up what HBRC have already initiated with the stop bank work there as well, for Brookfields likewise. And just for those that are interested with the 2 different beam configurations, the Super Ts allow you to have longer spans between piers, which would then drop the number of piers across the waterway, which is obviously quite a key point. So in all likelihood, the structural options reports, once we get through them, will recommend Super Ts, which is what is going in on the expressway. So that then opens up, leveraging the work they've done into our projects here.
The only other bit I'd probably add in is the last bullet point on the opportunities, which again is just an early heads up that Hastings at this point is looking at probably delivering our NIF funded program at slightly less than the budget we have available. So we've got 227 million from the Crown across our roading program through there. So there's an opportunity that there's going to be some surplus in that we're working with NIF about possibly redirecting into helping to, if NZTA aren't willing to fund the betterment element, how can we possibly unlock some of that? So that's an active discussion that involves a lot of central government kind of strategy work, I guess, just to try and make sure that that funding doesn't go back into central government.
Can I also just jump in a bit? The real crux of the Brookfield option, though, is to make the most of the FARA, the 83% being funded by NZTA. We would have to bring forward our earmarked budget. So we would probably be coming back to you seeking a decision later. So just at the back of your mind.
And that would logically fall within the annual plan process next year. So, yeah.
Look, as I said, one of the key things triggering this was just trying to control the narrative a little bit around the comms, because we've got a bit of an internal joke. Every time we put any comms out about any of our roading, we get, what about Brookfields? So wanting to just preempt that, actually, we want to tell the story on what's happening with Brookfields and what the pathway is. While we might be moving to demolition, there is a pathway to obviously getting to a final outcome. Our aspiration is that that's by that June, middle of 2029. Our aspiration as Hastings Council is that you have the ability from a resilience point of view. You've got Brookfields, Redcliffe and the Expressway largely complete, and we've kind of created this far more resilient transport system. There are a number of things to go through that process, number of the feasibility to complete, the funding to unlock, and obviously the contracting and design, et cetera, et cetera. But we've got a bit of a pathway now. So being able to announce that, and there's a draft media release that we're hoping to release tomorrow that will then show the pathway through to the next stages for both of these assets. And look, just in summary, I guess, we're here in front of you because we're committed to working with NCC, and we want to make sure that we work in a manner that obviously you are comfortable with as a council, your officers are as well. And part of that is refreshing an agreement between the councils like we have for the operations, forging a MOU or a delivery agreement that outlines the role of, if Hastings is the lead agency, what role does NCC have to play in reviewing designs or having input in that space? So again, you're not feeling like you're led. And that's a commitment that we're giving you, that we're here to work with you in partnership through that space, as well as our other partners that are involved in the project, but specifically NCC is a key funder in this piece as well. That funding agreement will cover a number of things as are listed in that slide, but ensures that we obviously have the appropriate governance as well. And one of those could be the formation, we're talking to our council about the formation of a governance group that may have councillor representation as well across these pretty significant assets if you add up the cost of the two of them being somewhere over the $100 million mark, which is probably one of the biggest projects that we'll both be delivering. But yeah, I guess they're just trying to reinforce that commitment to work together. And yeah, just in summary, and I guess we'll take questions if you have any further, but preferred option imminent for Redcliffe, progress in construction 27-28, Brookfields a little bit further behind, demolition as being our next trigger point, feasibility to confirm the project stands up, and then unlocking the next tranches of funding for design and into construction. I'd say Brookfields got a bit more work to be done with NZTA to continue to kind of justify the need for the project, but as a leadership, I guess, team at HDC, and I know talking to Mayor Wise, that we want to make sure that we outline that is our commitment, obviously getting that resilient transport system across both of those assets. So, kia ora, thank you for your time.
Right. Any questions? Rhonda?
I guess just following on from that was my question. What is the appetite for NZTA, considering they're building another bridge across the river at the expressway to put 81%, is it that right? Into 80-something% into the Brookfields Bridge?
We're pretty comfortable or confident that the like for like will get funded, and we've got to work through what I call the benefit cost ratio, BCR, to approach that. The lower we can get the cost, the more the BCR stands up, obviously. So the one thing that is in our favour is NZTA really value the resilience that a bridge like that can offer, because we know the expressway closes when you have incidents on it, as well as the vulnerability of the two other bridges. So for Crown Thorpe Fernhill has obviously got some challenges with weight restrictions, and so does the other bridge in Waitangi. So both of those NZTA need to invest in, and this offers a resilient pathway through. So we've got to continue to do our work, but we've got to back ourselves, I guess, to unlock that funding.
Just another question. And I guess we're just talking the Tutaikuri. Obviously, you've got the Narraora. What's happening at that end? Because that's got less bridges. So we get trapped between the two.
Yeah. Look, I think the scope of our discussion here is a little bit this one, but the intent is that we've got, we do our RLTPs, we do our asset management plans, each at councils, to look at the resilience of it. So possibly future investment, but I think our focus at the moment is probably these two and recovering our network. But yeah, it's a real consideration.
GK.
Just a comment and then partially a question. I understand there's no shared path on the expressway. That's not in the design. And a number of years ago, Hastings invested in creating pathways that went to Brookfields Bridge, and Napier didn't on the other side. So is there consideration for the Brookfields, if it goes ahead, for the shared pathway option to create the ability to commute between the two cities? Because to me, not putting it on the expressway is just ridiculous, but at the moment there's no other option.
Yeah, through Chair. So yes, we obviously are proposing that we want to back a shared user path, as you've seen on both of those. I know that Mayor Hazelhurst would like to stand and kind of talk about the 2-lane, and that we're backing ourselves to unlock that funding in that space. There is challenges though, and you're aware, the Miani side around the road narrowing, and that's based on some safety risks. So if that is the option, it will need some investment to obviously consider safety. And I know there's been some incidents for people trying to cycle through there as well. But those safety kind of processes become key things in projects like this, like we've shown you at Springfield Roundabout. That obviously is a key upgrade that's required if we trigger that process. So it'll be a discussion that needs to come back to your council in particular around what do you do with the Miani intersection or the connection through there. And there is obviously the trails that run on that stop bank. Yeah,
It's on the table.
I'll jump ahead. We did have some upgrades planned for the Awatoto Miani intersection to happen this summer. Because of Brookfields potentially coming forward, we're looking at using that money and maybe not doing that temporary upgrade ultimately if we go ahead and Brookfields comes back in. So we've already earmarked in our forward works of land transport that road needs improvements.
Good.
Nigel.
So tapping into the expressway, the benefits of the expressway work being done, all that concrete moulding and work is all being done locally here in Hawke's Bay?
So I know Head Construction have got the Tutaikuri River Bridge. They have had discussions with Laddies, who are local to Hastings, about potentially setting up their moulds in their facility to precast. That's not really part of what we're here to front, but we want to leverage what happens from the expressway project, whether it's Laddies investing in some moulds of their own potentially, or whether it's HEB establishing their own precast yard here for that project. But ultimately, we want to realise whatever savings we can and deliver these as efficiently as possible.
Max.
Yes, I think this is really good news. It's great to hear this because I think the community is really ready to hear it, and it's very positive that we're doing a joint media release tomorrow, is it? So that will be a way of getting that information out to people because, you know, there's lots of rumours about it. They're not going to do the Brookfield Bridge and all that sort of thing. So this answers a lot of questions and I think it's very positive and constructive. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess that's part of that control narrative. I think the bit that we just wanting to make sure that in that pathway, we just caveat that we've got a number of things to work through to unlock the funding. So while we've got a pathway to get where we would like to get to, we've still got to kind of do that business case work. Yeah.
And I think as part of the comms, we also need to be aware of parts of that community that are quite happy with the bridge being closed. And so ensuring that we're communicating with them so that they understand what's happening and what the steps are leading as we work through the decision making and the rationale behind rebuilds and all the rest of it as well. So.
Absolutely. And that might be that there's some safety improvements that need to happen on the Pakawhai side as well as part of that.
Right. Any further questions, team? No? Thank you very much. Very useful.
That was really interesting. I didn't know any of that.
Right, that's us. Team.
I don't think we're